Monster and...
Monster Chick. You're watching History and Headlines with Granny Monster and the crew.
Always remember to create, not hate.
History a lot smoother.
And headlines easy to read.
Thank you, Pet Monster. Thank you, Monster Chick. And of course, Cherish Monster, ActionGal, and Llama Monster, my team of insane regulars that I really appreciate here on History and Headlines with Granny Monster. Couldn't possibly happen without all of you people. And while we're on the topic, I wanted to let you know that over on Pet Monster and Monster Chick's channel, if you would like to have an intro or other possibilities, please go over and check out his channel. Use all of the directions and yeah, hashtag create not hate. Now, let's get on with it.
How do animals know one season from another? By taking a cue from something in their environment that tells them what time of year it is. Birds, for example, are attuned to the length of days. Of course, the days start to get longer in the spring. Garden snails also use the length of days, which tells them when it's time to lay eggs. Sensitivity to the length of days is called photoperiodic. Snails adjust themselves in other ways, in addition to light. For instance, if a snail is too small, they won't reproduce until they've matured the following year. But animals also adjust their sensitivity to the length of days, as with birds. When the days get longer and more food is available, birds court, mate, and lay their eggs. But the length of days grows longer as summer arrives, so they care for the eggs already laid and stop producing any more. Nature is a fascinating lady indeed. The tailless tenrec of Madagascar has litters of up to 32 babies. The African driver ant can produce 3 to 4 million eggs every 25 days. There certainly seems to be a lot of hanky-panky going on in the spring. Chipmunk, otter, swans, beaver, black bear, fox, heron all get their start in the spring. Birds do it, bees do it, even educated fleas do it. Let's do it, let's fall in love.
Birds do it, bees do it. Thank you, Cherish. And now, ActionGal, take it away.
All of Europe and North America are in the Northern Hemisphere. Also in the Northern Hemisphere is almost all of Asia, as well as the majority of Africa, and approximately 10% of South America. The Southern Hemisphere encapsulates all of Antarctica, the south of Asia, approximately 1/3 of Africa, all of Australia, and approximately 90% of South America, below the mouth of the Amazon River. The North Pole, of course, is in the Northern Hemisphere, while the South Pole is the most southerly part of the Southern Hemisphere. Summer and winter seasons differ between the two hemispheres, resulting in vastly different temperatures at the same time of year between the most southern and northern locations. In the Northern Hemisphere, summer takes place from the summer solstice, usually June 21, until the autumnal equinox, typically September 21. Winter, meanwhile, takes place from the winter solstice, usually December 22, until the vernal equinox, usually March 20. Summer in the Southern Hemisphere typically takes place between December 22 and March 20, while the winter season typically lasts between June 21 and September 21. Nearly 90% of the human population is in the Northern Hemisphere, with the rest residing in the Southern Hemisphere. The vast majority of the Earth's landmass is also found in the Northern Hemisphere. Variations in pollution are notable between the two hemispheres, given that the Southern Hemisphere contains a much smaller population and significantly less industrialization. For that reason, there is a much higher level of pollution in the Northern Hemisphere. As a result of the Coriolis effect, which is the deflection of moving objects based on the Earth's rotation, hurricanes and tropical storms rotate in a clockwise direction in the Southern Hemisphere and counterclockwise in the Northern Hemisphere. During the day in the Northern Hemisphere, the sun will rise to its maximum point at a southerly position because it will go with the direction of the equator, south. In the Southern Hemisphere, the opposite occurs as the sun rises to its maximum point in a northern direction. The seasons in the Northern Hemisphere are the opposite of those in the Southern Hemisphere. This means that in Argentina and Australia, winter begins in June. The winter solstice in the Southern Hemisphere is June 20 or 21, while the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, is December 21 or 22. Spring and fall, or autumn, begin on equinoxes, days that have equal amounts of daylight and darkness. The vernal, or spring, equinox falls on March 20 or 21, and the autumnal equinox is on September 22 or 23 in the Northern Hemisphere. Seasons occur because Earth is tilted on its axis relative to the orbital plane, the invisible flat disk where most objects in the solar system orbit the Sun. Earth's axis is an invisible line that runs through its center, from pole to pole. Earth rotates around its axis. In June, when the Northern Hemisphere is tilted toward the Sun's rays hit it for a great part of the day. This means it gets more hours of daylight. In December, when the Northern Hemisphere is tilted away from the Sun, with fewer hours of daylight. Seasons have an enormous influence on vegetation and plant growth. Winter typically has cold weather, little daylight, and limited plant growth. In spring, plants sprout, tree leaves unfurl, and flowers blossom. Summer is the warmest time of the year and has the most daylight, so plants grow quickly. In autumn, temperatures drop and many trees lose their leaves. The four-season year is typical only in the mid-latitudes. The mid-latitudes are places that are neither near the poles nor near the equator. The farther north you go, the bigger the differences in the seasons. Helsinki, Finland, sees 18.5 hours of daylight in the middle of June. In mid-December, however, it is light for less than 6 hours. Athens, Greece, in southern Europe, has a smaller variation. It has 14.5 hours of daylight in June and 9.5 hours in December. Places near the equator experience little seasonal variation. They have about the same amount of daylight and darkness throughout the year. These places remain warm year-round. Near the equator, regions typically have alternating rainy and dry seasons. Polar regions experience seasonal variation, although they are generally colder than other places on Earth. Near the poles, the amount of daylight changes dramatically between summer and winter. In Barrow, Alaska, the northernmost city in the US, it stays light all day long between mid-May and early August. The city is in total darkness between mid-November and January.
And thank you so much, ActionGal. Lovely. And now something truly terrifying with Llama Monster.
Truly disturbing headline. Mwah, ha, 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 ha. No, really, though. This is from trulydisturbing.com by the user Alephia, Ahlephia. Credit where credit's due and all that. Anyway, here it goes. Newly discovered giant tarantula species was filmed. Oh dear, I hate spiders. Sorry everyone, but I just had to confess that. Now when I learned of a spider who was so big that it could cover a human face, I just had to bring it to you. Check out the video and say it with me. We hate spiders. Now, of course, I can't play the video because heaven forbid I do something against copyright. I can't even show you a picture of the darn thing for that reason. But I digress. Video has emerged from a newly discovered species of tarantula, which has legs that span an area as large as a human face. Oh, the pola blah 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 big word tarantula was first sighted in Sri Lanka in 2009 and initially believed to be a subspecies of another spider group. But researchers now believe the spider is a new species because of its distinctive physical characteristics and bright yellow markings. Okay, so now we have a huge bright yellow tarantula. That's not terrifying at all. This species has enough significant discoveries to separate it from the other species. Oh, differences, not discoveries. Yes, I'm a professional, said Peter Kirk, editor of the British Tarantula Society's Journal. The spider's huge leg span, which can stretch up to 20 centimeters, is on display in a newly released video short by researcher Rani Nanakanamanamanakunamatara. Wow, that's a big word. Despite its formidable size, a bite from the venomous big word is not believed to be fatal to humans. Whatever way you look at it, it's still one big spider. Yeah, here's the thing, is there aren't actually any documented cases of a tarantula killing somebody. As terrifying as they are, the thing is, it's just not happening. It's sort of like the big dog syndrome. There's a huge dog sitting in your yard, right? You're not going to go into that yard. You're just going to leave the yard alone, dog could be a sweetie pie. You're not going to give it a chance, are you? Are you? Well, I wouldn't give a giant spider a chance either, so there's that. Anyway, stop by trulydisturbing.com if you want to read this and watch their video, because heaven forbid I actually show it. I have to find, copyright-free stuff to show you, like spiders that aren't actually part of this video, because heaven forbid if I... Anyway, that's another rant for another day. Thanks for watching. You have a wonderful day. I'll see you on the flip side, and I am out.
Thanks for watching, mothers. Wear history.